everybody, what is going on? Welcome to the channel. This is Benda 707 Greystone. So far, this is the most anticipated cruiser from a Chinese manufacturer. And let me tell you why. As you can see guys, over here we have this beautiful V-twin which puts out 73 horsepower and 68 Nm of torque. 80% of its power would be available at only 4,000 RPMs, so the bottom end torque is supposed to be really good. Speaking about other things, I need to mention that this bad boy is pretty heavy. The carb weight of this bike is 218 kilograms, which is a lot. The tank capacity is 16 liters and the seat height is 705 millimeters. Honestly, in person this bike looks amazing, but it looks even lower than 705 in terms of the seat height. The wheelbase is 1545 millimeters. The ground clearance is 150 millimeters. But honestly, dudes, when I look at it, it looks crazy low, yet very beautiful. The suspension over here is non-adjustable. The brand is unknown, unfortunately. At the rear, we can see 1, 2 conventional springs, but this is the cheapest version of this bike. The price of this bike is 25,900 RMB, and the reason why I started speaking about the price is because there are 2 more versions of this Benda which have an air suspension at the rear. Honestly, I believe that this suspension is going to be more reliable. I rode Benda Dark Flag 500, which had this air suspension, which was adjusting on the way. But I was not in favor of that suspension, and I heard that it's not super reliable. So I feel like these springs might be better just because they're more reliable. But there's one more thing, guys. Over here, we have this throttle, which is a cable throttle. You see, there are 2 cables. However, the top tier version of this bike comes equipped with ride-by-wire, which is pretty cool. We have this beautiful TFT dash. I'm not a big fan of TFT dashes on cruisers like this, but it looks pretty shiny, looks pretty vivid. Speaking about the cockpit, looks pretty nice. Over here we have ABS and traction control system button, so you can turn it on and off on the way. Once you sit on the bike, once you sit on the bike, you can see the wide handlebars. They're not actually as wide as on, let's say, 950 Black Flag or Dark Flag, but they're still pretty wide, pretty distinct. The only thing is that, as I've mentioned, the bike is real low, but when I sit on it, I feel very comfortable. We have these retro mirrors. Let's check the brakes. Yeah, up front we have a single disc, which is, I believe, 300 to 320 millimeters wide. These are 4-piston Benda calipers. We'll see how they feel. Over here we have a belt drive, super huge rear sprocket. I feel like it's what, 48 maybe? I don't know, maybe 48 tooth rear sprocket. Looks so big. I really like those exhaust pipes, look very good. And coming back to our brakes, we have this 240 millimeter single disc with, I believe this could be 2-piston Benda calipers. This is a cruiser, so this time rear brakes count. Speaking about tires, this is CST tire, which is a Taiwanese brand, and this tire is 180 millimeters wide, so it's a pretty fat tire. But up front we have a super fat tire as well, 150 millimeters, very similar to Napoleon 450. When I look at this Benda, I do feel like it looks absolutely outstanding. I don't really like this glass black, but more expensive versions probably gonna have matte black, which is gonna be so much more beautiful in my opinion. This might be one of the best looking Bendas to the date. Honestly, I'm a big fan of Napoleon 450 and 250 in terms of the design, but Napoleons do not allow you to carry a passenger. This Benda allows you to carry a passenger and still looks super cool. I feel like it is time for us to hop on the bike and we'll be able to give it a go. I'm very excited. I'll see you in 5 seconds. Let's go. Oh my god. Oh, whoa, whoa. That's loud as hell. That's very loud. Alright guys. First gear. Are you ready? Let's go. Alright, neutral. We slipped into neutral. That's okay. Oh, whoa, whoa, that's fast, dude. Alright, yeah. This bike is no joke. And the sound is crazy aggressive. Yeah, they didn't lie about the torque. They did not lie about the torque. Well, the only thing is that the gearbox is kind of clunky. Not too easy to upshift. Alright, let's go. Bro, what the hell? That's incredibly freaking powerful, dude. And flickable, actually. Haha! 218 kilograms. Don't feel freaking heavy once you go fast. And guys, that sound is probably the best in the class. Oh my goodness. Alright guys, so as I said, the gearbox was kind of clunky. It was difficult for me to upshift. This little lever over here didn't work well, or pedal, I don't really know how to call it. But when you accelerate, the acceleration is really, really smooth, very, very addictive, and the power is crazy overwhelming. And my favorite part is probably the sound. This sound, in combination with this crazy acceleration, is absolutely amazing. Yeah, the gearbox is the only thing I don't like. What the hell? Alright. By the way, as I try to brake, alright, as I try to brake, I would say that brakes aren't too powerful, and yet ABS is not very intrusive. I like ABS a lot, but the brakes aren't too sharp. It is time for us to do some slow speed maneuvers to see how it performs, but once you crack that freaking throttle open, the bike flies like a bird. Dude, it's crazy. I feel like this review is gonna be very emotional, very emotional. Alright. Oh shit. Alright, we scraped the foot pack. Brakes. Well, not bad. Yeah. I feel like everybody's gonna be scared of the sound. Let's swerve around. Yeah, it's quite flickable. Quite flickable. Alright, let's try to turn. Yeah, did you hear that? The front tire was skidding a little. Yeah, unfortunately we constantly scrape the foot pegs. Oh, yeah, the ground clearance isn't great because just now I feel like I hit the bottom of the bike. Honestly, it's crazy fun. The acceleration is absolutely preposterous. I feel like it's around 4 seconds. It's super good. The sound is by far my favorite feature of this bike. I don't really like the performance of the brakes. They're not as powerful as I wish them to be. but once you use the front and the rear brakes, it's much better. Suspension is actually really nice. It's not too stiff, it's very pleasant, it swallows the bumps real well. The only problem is that the ground clearance is non-existent on this bike. Again, I try to turn. I do not lean the bike a lot, I think, and we scrape the foot pegs at least 3 times. So this bike would definitely be a really cool toy if you have really nice pavement around. If you have some bumps, probably not so much. If you want to bring this bike over to twisties, it's kind of super maneuverable, dudes, but again, the ground clearance is something I wish to change. Alright, let's try to brake again. Not bad, actually. Alright, so brakes aren't too bad. You'll be tired of scraping your foot pegs. Oh shit. Ooh, and you know what? I really like how this throttle feels. Acceleration and deceleration feel amazing. Very predictable. So, ooh, it popped. Did you hear that? Amazing, absolutely amazing. The sound is just incredible. I can definitely see why people are so excited about this bike. Ooh. Alright, let's bring it back. Alright, we have some bumps over here, and it's pretty pleasant actually. The suspension swallows the bumps well, but it's on a responsive side of a spectrum. So it's stiffer than on some other bikes, but it's not bad. Bro, I feel like I did a power wheelie just now. It's amazing. Alright guys, we have traction control, ABS. Over here, as we can see, it's pretty wet. And yet... Oh shoot. You know what? I feel like so far, this might be the most fun cruiser I've ever ridden in my life. It's more fun than anything else. And the sound is amazing. The torque is absolutely preposterous. The acceleration is beyond my ability to describe. Again, guys, we have 691cc, and it feels just crazy good in every single way. So, if not for this ground clearance, if not for this gearbox, actually, you know, I want to take it back because I got used to this gearbox, and now I can upshift and downshift no problem. So the gearbox isn't too bad, but again, you need to get used to it. So other than this ground clearance, everything else is crazy fun, and I cannot just believe that this bike costs 25,900 RMB. It makes no freaking sense. Can we find neutral? Alright, neutral first, neutral first, neutral first. Okay. Alright guys, so the gearbox isn't bad. The bike feels light and stable once you start riding. Once you stop and you try to tip it a little, yeah, you feel the weight of the bike, 218 kilograms. But dudes, honestly speaking, what a beautiful bike. The most fun cruiser I've ever ridden in my life. Plenty maneuverable, crazy fast, and super playful. The only thing I don't like is that once you start leaning the bike, you constantly scrape the foot pegs. And again, the bike is crazy flickable and maneuverable, but the ground clearance is something I wish to change. Right, let's bring it back. Yeah, and oh shit, yeah, it was pretty dangerous. One thing I don't like, guys, is those mirrors. They probably look very good, but Honestly speaking, my hands, they're constantly rubbing against those things, so I don't like it. All right, let's park. All right, can we get on? No problem. Ooh, all right, let's try to find neutral again. Kickstand. All right. Whew. It's amazing. What a bike. What a cruiser. I already forgotten the last time I had so much fun on a bike. And again, dudes, I'm not a cruiser fan. I don't really like cruisers. But this bike, if you got an opportunity to try this bike, please don't waste this chance. This bike is truly special. This goddamn ground clearance is something I do not appreciate. 150 millimeters, I don't know. Like, this is by far the most annoying part of this bike. Other than this, yeah, I said that I don't like the gearbox, but after, like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, I was actually upshifting without even touching the clutch lever, so the gearbox is good. The power is crazy overwhelming. The acceleration couldn't be better. The official top speed of this bad boy is 180 kilometers per hour. The seat is not too soft, but it's really nice and pleasant, made of leather. Over here, you see, it's black leather, bouncy. Design is amazing. Sound is by far the best in the class. Performance is the best in the class. The price is the lowest in the class. I don't even know what to compare this bike to, because, come on, I've ridden 500 Dark Flag. That bike was super heavy, very expensive, maybe good looking, but super slow. This is so much better. I also like QG Motor SRV 600, if I'm not mistaken, this is the name, but this is better. This is more fun. This is more flickable, lighter. This V-twin sounds like nothing else. As I've said, we have 2 more versions of this bike, which have a different rear suspension, the air suspension. And at the very beginning of my video, I said that probably I'll just pick this bike instead, because those springs, they might not be as fancy, but they would be more reliable. But now I'm thinking, if this air suspension would allow you to, let's say, lift the rear part of the bike a little, or let's say increase the ground clearance, probably this would change everything, because this is my only complaint. If you could actually regulate the ground clearance of this bike, it'll be a game changer. Yeah, guys, please tell me what you think about this Benda in the comment section below. I'm telling you, dudes, I am more than impressed. My favorite cruiser to the date. I had so much fun. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and as always, I'm gonna see you in my next videos. Bye bye, everybody. Take care.